Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's episode, we're going to be exploring one of these Windows shell replacement utilities, and this is a bit of an older one. It's called SharpEnviro, or Sharpie for short, and it is the alternative desktop environment, the only one that there ever was and ever will be. Hey, I gotta give him props for that tagline, because I don't think any of the other desktop environments we've explored on this channel call themselves the alternative desktop environment, but in all seriousness, this is a pretty neat desktop environment shell replacement utility that brings a Linux-like look and feel to Windows while also adding some widgets, a couple of programs, and multiple desktops back before that feature came standard with Windows. Now, right off the bat, I do want to mention that this project has long been abandoned. When you go to the website right now, it's still up over on SourceForge, but it says the project is closed as of December 2011. It is no longer under active development, so that's why we're in a Windows 7 virtual machine today, though you only need Windows XP at a bare minimum to run this thing. And in fact, this project has been around since the days of Windows XP, because prior to 2011 it had around a decade-long run. If we go to the Wayback Machine, the earliest snapshot of the download page is from November 27th, 2002, and by that point they were on version 0.4.0.1 of SharpBar, which is one of the packages, the only package that was available at the time. And you can see right here that it was registered on SourceForge on September 10th, 2002. So yeah, very, very close to the release date of Windows XP by about a year or so. Oh yeah, and at this point it was called SharpEnvironment. So at some point during its development, they decided to knock 5 characters off the name to simplify things a little bit, I guess. But if you want to download this, good news, it is still hosted on SourceForge today, and the latest release is 0.8 Release Candidate 3. So this never actually got to 1.0. But we're going to install this here in Windows 7. We'll explore what it's all about. I'll take you through it. Now, when the installation finishes, it will ask you if you want to change the Windows shell to Sharpie now or change it manually later on. We're going to just change it now. So we'll hit next, and then it will have to restart the system. And yeah, right off the bat, you can see there's definitely a bit of a Linux feel to it. So you've got these 2 bars. You've got a kind of menu bar sort of thing going on up here. You've got your taskbar down here, which retains a couple of standard Windows UI elements. You've got a quick launch area here, and you have your system tray over here. But you've got your multiple desktop switcher added down here. This is where you can change positioning settings for this taskbar. So if you want to off-center it to the right, maybe I want it here in the middle of the screen, kind of floating there, which kind of gives me a Mac OS X sort of vibe with the dock, obviously, but we'll just set it back to full screen for now. So yeah, as we go through this, you're going to see that customizability is a major theme. You can customize pretty much every aspect of this desktop environment, not only the way that all these menu options are laid out, but also the color and appearance of everything. So we'll just start down here with the bottom taskbar because we're already kind of going through it anyway. So this menu kind of serves as a miniature version of Sharp Center, which is the main settings utility where you can customize everything. So you've got a few options in here, like changing the skin. If you want to maybe change this to this minimal one, that'll change the look of both of the bars, so it does keep it consistent. Let's see, number 7 here. So number 7 is actually a Windows 7 inspired theme. And you can see they've definitely tried to mimic the look of Aeroglass. It's not exact, but it is pretty close. So yeah, you've got a few different skins that you can go through. We'll just set it back to, or actually let's do this modern theme. You've got design settings, small or big, if you want to, you know, make, and this just changes the size of this bar. So if you want this one larger than the top one, which actually, you know, that's usually this bar is larger in Windows 7 by default anyway, so we might as well keep it like that. Now, it's not just looks that you can customize. You can also add some additional functionality to both of these bars by adding modules. And we actually have some of those modules already added up here by default to the top bar. So if we go in here to quick add module, you get a list of every module that you've got. And we can add maybe, let's see, battery monitor. Of course, we don't have a battery on this computer, but if we did, you know, it would show up there. And whenever you add a module, it will bring up Sharp Center already navigated to the settings page for that module. So this one's pretty simple. You've got 2 settings. You can disable the icon if you want, and you can disable notifications if you don't want it to notify you when your battery's low. And you can see that there's this really cool little effect when you hover over things in the taskbar. Let's see what else we got. Why don't we add recycle bin. We could add a shortcut to the recycle bin here, and I don't think there are any options for that. It just brings up a blank window. Why don't we add notes? We could add a little shortcut to the notes application. And this one actually lets you change the button caption, or there's the title of the item. So we could just get rid of this actually and just have the icon, or well, I guess you can just set it to just icon. Why don't we change this to my notes and be super original here? So there you go. So notes, this is a great segue into this. Notes is one of the additional applications that you get. And yeah, it's a basic note-taking application, nothing like super special or unique or anything. So, you know, we could say, hello world, and why don't we save that to, it'll save it as an RTF, or you could save it as a TXT. We'll save the documents maybe as my awesome note in all lowercase to be, you know, super hip. But yeah, lots of modules to go through that you can add. And the ones up here, if you're curious, this one here is a memory meter for your RAM and swap usage. This here is a CPU graph, which when you double click on it, opens up Task Manager, which is super nice. And this is a run command. So I can just type in like WinVer here and hit enter, and it will execute that program. So CMD, boom, there you go. I really like that for sure, because I open up run all the time. This right here is a volume slider. You've got some media controls as well, and you have a shortcut to Internet Explorer, which you can change. This is just a button bar, which we just get rid of that because like I don't really want IE there. And we could add maybe Firefox. So why don't we call that Firefox? And you can change the icon of it if you want, but the command is going to be file open, and we're going to go into program files, and we'll find firefox.exe. So we add that. And there we go. Now we have a shortcut to Firefox right up here. You also have your power options. And moving over to this side, you've got, again, that same shortcut to notes. You've got the configure shortcut, which just brings up Sharp Center. And you've got the Sharp E menu, which you can also access by right-clicking anywhere on the desktop. At least when you're in the Sharp E desktop, because you can change back to the Explorer desktop, which is personally how I would prefer to use this, because this just is, you know, your standard Windows Explorer desktop with all your icons. So this, of course, you just get your standard right-click context menu. But we can easily switch back to the Sharp E desktop by double-clicking on this icon, and there you go. So yeah, the menu, you know, you got shortcuts to My Computer, Control Panel. This is just the standard Windows control panel, by the way, not the Sharp E configuration tool. That is here. This menu is also the closest thing you have to the Windows Start menu, because you have a shortcut to all the programs in your Start menu. Though with the added ability of being able to access them by just right-clicking anywhere on the desktop. You've got another shortcut to run. You've got some SharpEnviro configuration settings here. Noteworthy in here is the shell manager, which is how you change between what your default shell is. We're just going to leave it on Sharp E for now. And the configuration program. So we're going to open up Sharp Center to just kind of go through this, because this is, again, the program where you can just customize practically everything about SharpEnviro. And I'm going to demo a few things. We'll start with customizing the desktop. So adding icons to the Sharp E desktop is not as simple as doing it in Windows, because there's no like you can't, you know, open up you know, the start menu here and like right click on this and create a shortcut on the desktop. What you have to do is go to Sharp Center. You have to go to desktop. And all of these icons are called objects. So if you want to add one, why don't we add a Firefox icon? So you choose the object type, we'll do link, and we'll add that. And now we got to customize the link, and we'll change the target to a file, and we'll go back. We're already in the Firefox folder, so we'll open up firefox.exe. You can change the icon if you want. If you want to kind of keep this theme going on, we can change that to a Sharp E icon. Maybe we want, is there like a web browser one in here? Let's maybe go with this WLAN icon. You can choose to add a caption if you want. I mean, we'll just type Firefox web browser in here. You can change icon settings, you know, how large you want the icon to be. If you want it to have a shadow, if you want to change the color, all that. You can change the font of the icon text, which of course, oh yeah, we're doing that. And font shadow, sure, we'll keep that on. So we'll hit apply. So we'll move that up here. And yeah, so you can have a different font for each of the for each of the icons on your desktop, which is rather funny. So, but yeah, that's how you add icons. Now, desktop behavior, this is where you can enable the Explorer desktop. You can change wallpaper settings. You can choose how objects are aligned, and you can choose what right-clicking does. So if you only want right-clicking to open up, in fact, is this how you get to... Yeah, you can absolutely do that. I did not notice that when I was exploring this off camera. That's really nice. So you can just have this set to when you right-click, you basically get access to everything in your start menu. And you can have it shift right-click be a separate action. So if I want, you know, programs here and I want shift right-click to be, maybe I want it to be shut down, that would make sense. So I right-click and then I shift right-click and I get shutdown options. That's really nice. Now, desktop area is cool because this is where you can control what area of the desktop is actually the desktop. And what I mean by that is if you have like these icons over here that you always want to be visible and you don't want to be able to drag windows over them, you can set an offset here, and maybe we want to move the left offset up to about 219 pixels. And now when I drag this window over here, you can see that this is the new edge of the desktop. So that's where the arrow snapping effect comes into play. So if I want to snap it there it is. Now, of course, because Windows does allow you to drag windows over the edge of the desktop. So if I were to select this window from over here and go to drag it, like I'm going to be able to bring it all the way over here. But when my cursor touches the edge, that's when it triggers the arrow snap animation. And when I let go, it snaps it there. It's not a feature that I would personally use, but it is there for those who want to mess around with it. And speaking of messing around with things, appearance. This is where you can really mess around with the look and feel of practically everything. So you've got different icon sets. The default one is this gnome icon theme, but we've also got a few other ones here, and you can see as I scroll through them, they instantly apply. So maybe we want to select, I don't know, this one here, Token Dark. That looks kind of neat. Desktop we were already in, or at least when we applied the Firefox web browser to the desktop. Though whatever settings you change in here will not apply to any icons on the desktop that you have added custom settings to. So like the Firefox web browser, because we've configured this icon with Comic Sans, like specifically for this. When I change the font in here, if I can actually get to the menu, okay, that is kind of bugging out there. So if I change this to like Wingdings here and I hit apply, you can see the Firefox web browser icon will not be affected. So that is nice. But let's see here. Let's set this to, oh yeah, impact. Holy cow. That's totally what we're doing. We're setting that to impact font and we're upping that font size to 24. Heck, oh, now that's interesting. Oh, okay, that makes sense because I didn't have a custom font size applied for Firefox, so it will retain the system-wide one. But yeah, so you've got a lot of fonts and just desktop appearance settings there. Cursors, you've got a bunch of cursor packs. Now skins, we explored a little of this earlier when we were going through this menu, but when you try to apply a skin through here, you get a nice little preview of what that skin looks like. Under glass here is where you can change your transparency settings and color settings. Like if I want to maybe change this to... let's see, let's maybe up this and we'll enable that, and yeah, there you go. Now we got a blend color. We can change the transparency of that to basically make it. Now it's not making the bars themselves transparent. There's no real transparency going on there, but this just kind of adjusts how much of this color. If you want it to be like a solid, you know, color here, you can just bring this slider all the way up. But if you want it to have a little bit of a lighter look, like just a hint of green, well, you could do that and maybe set it to 100, maybe set it to like 60 there, and we could lighten it if we want to. We could lighten the transparency, and maybe let's bring this like up to there. Yeah, so you see how customizable that it is. You've got different schemes as well, so you've got black and you've got blue. So just two different variants of this particular skin. Wallpaper, pretty self-explanatory. You can change whatever wallpaper that you have applied. You can add a gradient if you want to. Yeah, let's do that. Hit apply and there you go. And of course, you have font settings as well. Now this is for the theme, not the icons here on the desktop. So I could change the theme font to Comic Sans, and we could up the size. You know, you could really make this a cursed thing, which, you know, is kind of a staple for this channel. We always try to screw everything up in like every way possible. So we could just make this the most obnoxious, like, you can only go up to 8. for the font size, but we're going to do that. And we can enable clear type fonts. Definitely want to do that. Let's make this italic, underline, and bold. Oh, that looks beautiful. You can also change hotkeys for all sorts of things, and you can add your own hotkeys too. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, so we won't really go too much into that. Menus is also pretty self-explanatory. This lets you change what items are in each menu. So like the shutdown menu, for instance, that's this one up here. Oh, that looks glorious, doesn't it? I could edit what's in here. Maybe I only want shutdown to be in here. I don't know why you'd want that, but we can do that. I just deleted everything except for shutdown, so now that's the only thing that shows up here. And that's the same case for all these other menus. You could modify the programs, recently used, places, desktop. Services is where you can enable and disable specific services within SharpEnviro. So if you don't want like the weather service to be running, you could just stop that here. But we are going to start that because I will demonstrate the weather widget in a moment here. Themes, you do have a few different themes, and you can also add your own as well. So we have modified and kind of corrupted the sunrise theme, which is the default one. But you've got like, let's apply abstract blue here. So there you go. Looks much much more presentable, much more sleek. And you can see they're doing a clever job making it look like these bars are transparent. And if you have it set to the default setting of these windows not, or these bars not being on top of everything, it would look really convincing. But it still looks really convincing until you know, drag a window behind it. Then you can see it's not actually transparent. But yeah, so you got a couple different themes here. We'll just go through all of them. So city at night. Here's that. Again, they got that faux transparency going on. Forest. Got a lot of green icons, which is nice. Makes sense. And open view. Oh, this one has the Windows 7 skin applied, which with that faux aeroglass transparency looks really nice. We're actually going to leave it at open view for now to give you guys a break from the awful theme that I made. You also have toolbars where you can add additional toolbars, more than the two that are already here. Maybe you want to disable the top one here. So I'll just hit disable and boom, there it's gone. I could disable the bottom one as well. Maybe I just want the top one. And now they're back. Simple as that. So you can go to add here to add additional ones. Unfortunately, it does not let you, like if you just wanted to fill up your screen with toolbars, which you wouldn't want to do that, but I kind of wanted to. You can't do that because it does prevent you, it says, you know, you need to free up some screen space before you can add more bars. So I want to, let's just let's just disable the bottom one for now. And now I could add a new one. We'll just call this my bar. And you can give it a template. You can choose, so toolbar is the top bar up here, is technically what this is referred to as, and the taskbar is the bottom one. So maybe I want to create one based off of the toolbar template. You can choose what monitor you want it to be on, how you want it to be aligned. Maybe I want this to be aligned to the top instead of the bottom. Will it let me do the top? Let's see. I don't think it will, because they are both enabled. You can see it's not showing. So let's maybe, can we just drag this down here? We cannot. So let's just stop that and disable it. And let's just get rid of it entirely. And let's try to add it to the bottom and do what we should do. And we'll hit add. And now it starts up. Oh, I did new bar as the template, so it's just blank. But yeah, we could go in here and we could edit this. This is where you can add all sorts of modules. So maybe we want an alarm clock. Maybe we want a CPU monitor. Maybe we want a keyboard layout selector. Maybe we want weather. You could add current weather information. Now, speaking of weather, there is a widget, and there are a couple of widgets actually for the desktop. If we go back in here to objects and hit add, previously we selected link, which just allows us to point to a program or even like a website address or something to have an icon to point to that. But we can select weather here, and now that adds this right here. We can move that around a little bit. And you can go in here and select the location, which we have to do by adding a location first. Now it needs a location ID, and we're going to actually use the one in here for Berlin, Germany. So that's going to be GMXX0007. So this is tapping into weather.com. I don't know if this will actually work because it says queued here. You know what? Why don't we try to remove it and let's try to add, okay, GMX0007, and let's add the location as Berlin. If I can spell right, Germany, add. Okay, so now it actually shows the name of the location there. And so we set weather location to Berlin, Germany, hit apply, and will this actually work? It looks like it's not doing anything. It does say it could take several minutes to apply. I mean, it says queued here, like it hasn't updated yet, but I don't see a way of like changing how often it updates. But it could be that whatever API they're using has been deprecated, or they would have to make updates to make their code still work with the API, which obviously it's not like that's going to happen. But yeah, we'll just leave this here. We'll see if it updates as we go through the rest of this stuff. But we do have, so this recycle bin is technically a widget because it does show you, I mean, it is like an icon, right? You double click on it, it opens up recycle bin, but it shows you the size of the items in the recycle bin and how many items you have in it, instead of, you know, just the text recycle bin. But why don't we also add, we do have a couple other ones, so that gets through these two. We've got image. We could just add a picture to the desktop. Why don't we select desert.jpg, and we'll hit apply, and there you go. You just got a big old picture here, and apparently it has, is it applied some like filter on it or something? Because that's not how it normally looks. Oh, okay, I just checked both of these, image alpha blend and color blend, and then disabled them, and then hit apply, and then it kind of reset to how it's supposed to look by default. So yeah, you've got some image options here that you can apply, and we definitely want to change the scaling, maybe down to like 5%. That's probably a little too small. Maybe we want like 25. And we've got a drive, which would just show you the amount of free space like on the C drive, which is, it also takes the form of like an icon, so it looks like these over here. And the last one, they've got a clock. So let's add that. And there it is, a super basic, boring looking digital clock. Now you do have analog and digital skins. So we've got big digital, which there it is. So yeah, that looks even worse, I think, than the default one. But let's see elements here. Okay, so this is giving me a rain meter vibe. So at least that like default skin that comes with rain meter, because you've got a nice border around it that is transparent as well as you move over the, or not completely transparent, obviously. You've got a little bit of an opacity thing going on there. So yeah, maybe set that there. You also have analog skins. Maybe we want oh yeah, you got a few ones in here. Oh, you've got a Mickey one too. Look at that. Hopefully Disney doesn't mind. We've got, yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff, and you also have different sizes of almost each one. This one here does not, but like this one, you've got different color variants as well, or different designs, sort of. You got a really small one, medium-sized one, a large one, and I think my favorite one, honestly, is this one. I just think this looks nice because it shows the date as well, which do some of these... No, none of these actually show the date. Because that is one thing we don't have at the moment because I got rid of the system tray down here. So maybe we want to move this like down here to... I mean, we could always re-add the system tray if we want. Oh, and one last thing. We do have virtual desktop settings. So you can just disable them entirely. You can choose how many virtual desktops you want. We can go up to, let's see here, 12. We can go up to 12 virtual desktops. So you know I'm keeping that. And yeah, you've got some other options down here, you know, regarding how virtual desktops behave. Before we end off the video, let me just set this back to my wonderful modified sunrise theme here. And, but yeah, that is SharpEnviro, guys. It's a really neat desktop shell replacement for Windows. And it would have been neat to, you know, see this get updated like for Windows 10 if the developers had stuck with the project. But, you know, stuff happens. For whatever reason, they decided not to continue it. Well, it's good that it's still around to where you can go and download it today and check it out on a Windows 7 or even a Windows XP system if you want to. So, yeah, I'll have all the links down below. And also down below, I will have a link to my Patreon page. So yeah, I've got one of those now. I first announced this in my community tab. I made a post over there just kind of letting people know that I was doing this. This is something that I have debated doing for a very, very, very long time, for years now. Because people have asked me every so often, do you have a Patreon? Do you have a way that I could support the channel? And I just always told people, just, you know, watch the videos, subscribe if you like them. I mean, that's good enough for me. I never really wanted to have to ask people to like pledge, you know, to support the channel. And I'm proud of the fact that I've not had to do that. I mean, I've been doing this for 13 years now, and I've never once asked people to support the channel financially. But lately I've realized that maybe not having a Patreon has been holding the channel back from something that could potentially be really good for it. I'm not really going to go into too much detail about it here because I do have a wall of text over on my Patreon page that kind of takes you through my thought process with this. What I'm offering is early and sponsor-free access to my videos whenever I do a sponsor, which is not super often on this channel, but you know, I do them from time to time, and if you pledge, you'll be able to get a version of that video that has no sponsor spot in it. Now, I do have 3 tiers over on the Patreon page, but you get the same with each of them. So if you pledge $1, you'll get the same thing that you'll get if you pledge any other dollar amount. Really, the only reason I have the different tiers is because Patreon really wants you to have them. So I was like, okay, I'll do that, and I could have a little bit of fun with it by making the tier names like kind of in-jokes from the channel. Like, I couldn't pass up the opportunity of making the $5 tier the $5 Windows 98 PC tier. And I don't want people to think of this as a donation because Patreon is a membership platform, right? You're purchasing a membership to get early access to my videos. And if you don't think that that's worth $1 a month, that's totally fair. I mean, I would rather you not pledge because I would feel bad knowing that people are pledging, but they don't actually think that what they're getting in return is worth it to them. And if you believe it's worth more than that to you, then you have the option of pledging more. I'm thankful to everybody who has watched these videos, even the people that never watch me again. If you've watched one of my videos in the past, that is incredibly just awesome to me. It still is amazing to me that like the stuff that I make is seen by like thousands of people, that over 300,000 people have subscribed to this channel to like watch me do random stuff with old technology every week. It's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to do this, hopefully for as long as possible. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I want to again thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you as always in the next video.